Well, let's take a look. By definition, it means hunter in Italian. It can be made with braised chicken or rabbit. Get ready to write down this recipe for chicken cacciatore. Take a look.
It's time for another shamefully delicious recipe. Our great friend of the show, Shayne Rogers, has a great tasting chicken dish she wants to share, and we welcome her back to Virginia this morning. It is always wonderful to see this girl. Hey, how are you, Shayne?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year.
Same to you. I understand this dish tastes like chicken.
It's going to taste like chicken. It's chicken cacciatore. It's going to have all kinds of great flavors, though, not just the chicken. We're going to start with some chicken thighs, though.
Okay. All right. So what's step one with chicken cacciatore? Because obviously I've never made it.
No kidding. I have browned some chicken thighs in some oil, and I kind of got those ready because that kind of takes a few minutes, but they've got a beautiful brown color on them. I did it in about a tablespoon of oil and gas, and it's totally optional. 1 anchovy fillet, because it's not going to taste like fish, but it's going to give some deep, dark flavors to it.
All right. So you browned your chicken and got that ready. So what I don't even know what is got noodles in it. What does chicken cacciatore have in it?
It can have noodles, but you know me, I don't do noodles. It's an Italian dish, and it actually translates to hunter stew. And I wish I were with my nephew the other day, because it used to be made with kind of whatever they could find in the fields, and he got a great deal of rabbits the other day. So I wish I were with him, and I might try it with rabbits. But today we're using chicken thighs because those are readily available at the grocery store. And I'm going to add some onions in and get that base going. In all that kind of rendered chicken fat and the oil and the anchovies, I'm going to put that in there. And with that, I'm going to put about a tablespoon of garlic.
Now, is that fresh garlic or garlic powder?
Fresh garlic, absolutely. If you're in a pinch, use some powdered garlic. That's totally fine. This is going to cook for a long time. So
but your fresh garlic, you can't get it. You've got to have that. I mean,
I'm just saying, in a pinch.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear, but it's sizzling, and that's kind of what you want to hear. And as soon as you start to smell it, then you want to start to add some other ingredients. And I'm going to add some fresh chopped tomatoes. Mm-hmm. And these are not super ripe and red because it is January, but they're going to cook down and they'll still taste really good and kind of give you some good chunks in here.
Okay. So that you chop tomatoes, could you use cherry tomatoes and chop them up as well?
You totally could. You know me, like I'm kind of like whatever you have on hand. Get some good tomato flavor in there. I'm going to give that a good stir, and we're going to add some kalamata olives. And I don't know if you can see or not, but I've got a lot of the brine that comes with them. So that's going to give it a little bit of a spark, kind of like vinegar. It's kind of basically vinegar and salt.
Yeah. I love olives, and calamari are one of my faves. So.
Right? And so today, you don't have to do this, but I found a beautiful eggplant at the store the other day when I was shopping, so I'm going to pop that in. Before you do this, though, chop it up or dice it up and sprinkle it with a little salt and a colander, and that'll kind of take some of the juice out of it and a little bit of the bitterness. Not completely traditional, but totally delicious. Next thing we're going to do is add I've got a little bit to kind of take care of the lack of intense tomato flavor. I've got a little bit of canned crushed tomatoes I'm going to add in.
Mm-hmm. It is an Italian dish, so tomato paste or tomato sauce or whatever you're putting in there is going to give it that little Italian flair.
Absolutely. And now we're going to get to some real Italian flair. We're going to add, not that salt is, but you need a little salt in every good dish. We're going to use a little bit of thyme and a little bit of oregano. And super non-Italian, but really great in this dish, is some smoked paprika. It kind of gives you that kind of rustic, intense kind of flavor, and it's going to give it some good red color.
All right, smoked paprika.
Yes. And some fresh ground pepper.
So this is you're famous for this, Chef Shaynefully, and that is the one pot meal.
I love a one pot meal. That's my favorite. So, right? So we're going to give these a little stir, and we're going to add about a cup of beef broth or chicken broth, whichever you have on hand. I only had beef this morning, but I think the recipe originally called for chicken broth. Stir that right in. We're going to turn the heat up a little bit at this point to high and get that kind of bubbling away. And we have two more things that need to go in. One that you've seen before and one that you haven't. The last thing we're going to put in is we're going to put in bell pepper strips. And the reason that we left these bigger is because they're not going to cook into the sauce. Most of the other vegetables that we put in, you saw, were kind of chunked up. And as this cooks for probably the better part of an hour, they're going to melt into the sauce. These are not. These are going to still be there. So it's going to be more of a chicken and pepper dish. I'm going to pop those in there. I'm going to give it a stir. And I'm going to nestle. Go ahead.
This is all cooking together in there. So it's, what flavor is absorbed the most into other things? Is that even a question?
No, I think the onions, because the onions won't taste oniony, but it will totally have that. We brown them a little bit first, and it'll be a little bit sweet from them. You'll get a little bit of the tang, and they'll still be there, even though you probably won't be able to pick out a piece of an onion after it cooks that long, because they were chopped relatively finely.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to pop the chicken back in here.
So is the chicken the last thing to go back in?
Totally is.
Yeah.
Make sure that we get all the good juices off of that plate. I'm going to pop a cover on here. And if we were not limited for time, I would totally put it in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes covered, and then take the cover off and let it do the last 20 minutes uncovered, and that'll kind of brown everything up and give it a nice deep flavor.
Plus it'll make the house smell good.
The whole house smells great. I cooked the first batch this morning. It's kind of awesome. So I have from my crock pot the finished dish.
And we're ready for a drum roll and ta-da!
It smells so good. I can smell the paprika. I can smell the peppers. The olives are a little bit in there. And here's the thing. If you want to be super healthy in this new year, eat it just like this. If you want to be even more healthy, put it over some zucchini noodles or some zoodles. Or back to your original point, go ahead and throw some egg noodles under this, and it would be delicious. So this will make the whole family happy. I'm going to have second breakfast with Jess with some chicken cacciatore. And I think I put extra olives in this because I really love them.
You did that because you love me, and I love olives too, right?
I do. I miss sharing these dishes with you guys.
All right, I've got a question.
Because I'd be in the studio.
I know. I wish you were here. I've got a question. I got a question for you.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
What did General George Washington say to the coward British sympathizer?
I don't know.
Chicken cacciatore.
That's funny. And it tied right in.
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No.
I couldn't resist. I couldn't. What's so back? Shayne, it is always a pleasure seeing you and learning from you, and we appreciate you. And don't forget, by later today, you will receive, you can find the recipe on our show website, WTBR.com/VTM.
Well, now I'm intrigued because I want to catch that recipe and go give it a whirl.
Earlier in the show, Tom said I was quoting something from the 40s. Well, I just quoted something from colonial times. It's a colonial times joke. So, yeah. So when George and I were hanging out, he told me that one.
Share it again, because I love a good bad joke. I mean, a solid joke.
So what did General George Washington say to the coward British sympathizer?
Oh.
Chicken cacciatore.
I get it, because there's the Tories and the Whigs and all that.
Yeah, the Tories were, sympathizers.
Yeah, a lot of hair powder. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Shayne worked so hard, made two pots of that stuff so we could have it. And I just threw it all out the window with a silly joke at the end. So I didn't get any of the actual dish as a reward.
I love that she tried to throw you a bone by saying, I really miss being with you, sharing these in person. She does, between your bad jokes and my bad jokes, I'm not sure any chef
I don't
misses
think she misses
feeding
us
us.
quite that much, actually, after she thought about it.
Oh,
But
my
that
goodness.
dish, I mean, I've never even, I've had chicken cacciatore, but man, and she does it all in one pot, which is amazing as always. And she is so talented, and she makes it just like anything else. Anybody super talented makes what they're doing look easy, and she made it look easy, which we know it's not.
Well, look, we all have our talents, right? Sometimes we discover those earlier than others, and you embrace them. But yes, it's like watching, a musician craft a beautiful tune, or just like that chef going into the space, or cooking enthusiast, as it may be, and just like sprinkle this, sizzle that, make the magic happen, and next thing you know, cacciatore.
Yeah.
Yum. Chicken cacciatore.
All right, we're going to catch a break
one.
here for just a second, and we hope you'll stick around no matter how bad the jokes are. We'll be right back.